Good evening, everyone. Evolutionary TV here, coming to you with week 6 of 10 weeks of suicide prevention. One day, one moment in time, something was taken away from you. What if you could get it back? Well, I'm your host, Terry Earthwind Nichols, along with the marvelous
Linda Nichols.
We're going to talk about smell tonight. Smell. Interesting. Linda, I hear you have a bread story.
Oh, no. You have a bread story. Well, I think the beauty of the work that we do is to not use the 5 senses to trigger people. We keep people completely out of emotion, in a place of healthy detachment, fully present, and at one point, as we're going through memories, we do use a smell as a driver sometimes to get to the next memory. Okay?
Yeah, to give you an example, I love using this up on stage. This is a prop, but it's a piece of, it represents a slice of baked bread. And I ask the audience a lot, I'm asking you now, to think about the smell of fresh baked bread. Instantly, you are there. It may take you a couple of seconds to relate a memory or a place where you smelled it, but you remembered immediately what it was and the memory behind it. So we find in research that of the 5 senses, smell is the strongest. And so when we start the CR process, we start with the strongest scent. Now we set the memory up so that you go to a memory that's not a good memory, not a bad memory, simply a memory. But you think about it often and memory. But when you get there, we ask you to freeze frame the memory and do a photograph. We talked about that already. Remember the photograph that we showed before.
No motion.
And we start with the number 1 sense for memory recall, the sense of smell. Only we do it a little bit differently. In fact, we ask you to tell me one thing at a time. What do you smell? Like an inventory. And then we go through the other senses in the same manner. Linda?
Yep. And it's just the facts. It's not why you're smelling it. And that's the part that keeps people fully present, out of story. Excuse me, the movie player shut off so that they don't trigger, so that they don't go into emotion. And of course, our secret sauce of having eyes closed is another way of keeping people from the movie player, I guess is the word for it.
Yeah, you know, if you're looking around, even if you're looking at someone, you're aware of the painting on the wall behind their head, the light blinking on your desk, all of those types of things. So you're not fully present. But when those eyes are closed, everything's shut off, particularly when you are doing something you've never done before. So you're very much aware and fully present to what's next, what's going on with us. And so it's very important.
So the question tonight is, what does the smell of freshly baked bread have to do with suicide?
Usually, well, the 5 senses are the key factors in memory recall, that synchronization between conscious and subconscious thought. And we use the analogy of fresh baked bread because I have yet to come across anybody who's never smelled baked bread in some manner. So the connection with the example is immediate with you, the audience. Those of you who are watching live tonight, thank you. And those who will be watching this, because we're sure somebody will.
Yeah, and when we ask what someone's smelling in a memory and they've landed in a kitchen, a lot of times it is like baked cookies or bread, and a lot of times it's grandma's kitchen. It's just been really interesting.
Yeah.
Or in the kitchen with their mother. So that's been fun to track as well.
Yes. And sometimes it's an indicator of something not quite right. Like it is possible to smell cotton candy in grandma's kitchen. May not have happened, but there's a reason why the person all of a sudden smelled cotton candy along with everything else that was in there. And then later on, never tasted it. So there's indicators.
We're logging what makes sense and what doesn't. And we're keeping track of odd and can't be remembered information. And that helps us to get to the active block, that core foundational event that the client walled off in an amnesic-like state. So we're like, as CR practitioners, we're like detectives.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You know, a little kid sitting at the table in grandmother's kitchen is a good example of missing information. If I was sitting there beside them, there's certain sensory inventory that I would expect to smell in there. Maybe the cotton candy was an extra. But what if you were sitting there and you're having dinner with everyone, but you don't smell any food? That's missing information.
Mm-hmm.
So listen, we're going to wrap this up early tonight. We're both coming down off of a cold, so
Gracie's well.
Gracie's well. You heard her.
Over here.
So thank you again for coming in. This is week 6 of 10 weeks. Every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. on Wednesday nights through September 18th. Thanks for joining us. And for those of you who are seeing the recording, please share it. Somebody you know needs to talk to us.
Yeah, and if you have any questions, add them into the comment section or click the contact us button and we'll chat.
Let's have a chat. Good night.
Good night.